So the 17-18 season is just around the corner, which means that there will also be a return of fantasy football. The game which manages to make the most random punter pretend they're Jose Mourinho or Antonio Conte for 9 months. So let's take a look at 9 players you should probably avoid when picking your team this year. But then again, maybe some of you embrace failure, I don't know. Jay Rodriguez. When Jay Rodriguez looks around at his current surroundings, at the age of 27 years old, he must sometimes wonder if this is all a bad dream. 3 years ago he was banging in goals for fun, having netted 17 for Southampton during the 13-14 season, and he looked set for England's 2014 World Cup squad. Instead, he ruptured his anterior cruciate ligament, Ricky Lambert went in his place, and England crashed out in typically embarrassing fashion. Injuries have robbed him of most of the last 3 seasons. By the time he made his return in August 2015, he looked a ghost of the player with defences sweating the year before. Last season he managed 5 league goals in 24 games, with his touch, movement and most of all confidence looking completely shot. Playing the long ball game under Tony Pulis, you could only really see his career going the same way as his former teammates. Saido Berahino. Like Rodriguez, Saido Berahino has tumbled down the footballing ladder over the last couple of years, with the national side no longer even giving him a sideways glance. He had scored 20 goals for West Brom during the 14-15 season, threw a strop when they refused to let him leave for Tottenham, and has scored 4 league goals since. 4 league goals in 2.5 seasons. He's also been sent to Fat Camp, a place usually reserved for kids who can't stay out of a Doritos bag, not for a professional footballer. If you thought his problems were restricted to just the Hawthorns, no. He hasn't scored in any of his 13 games for Stoke City since his big money move in January. Avoid like the plague. Adam Lallana. Adam Lallana will probably be a popular pick this year. He's arguably one of Liverpool's best players last season and racked up a healthy points tally of 139. The only problem is there were 4 Reds players who got even more than that. And now with the addition of Mohamed Salah, not only does Lallana have a fight in his hands to retain his place, but he'll probably be pushed back into a deeper role, allowing more freedom to the forwards, but restricting his own goal scoring possibilities. Vincent Kompany. Vincent Kompany is one of the greatest defenders on the planet. The only problem is the man is also made of paper mache and comes apart at the seams at even the slightest touch. He's so lucky he is such a brilliant centre half because a man with his horrendous injury record would most likely have been binned by a club of Manchester City's resources some time ago. He's made 25 Premier League appearances over the last 2 seasons, so if you do choose to stick him in, don't blame me when he hobbles off clutching his knee after 7 minutes. Josh King. I know what you're thinking, how can Josh King be included when he's just after scoring 16 goals for Bournemouth and is now being linked with the likes of Tottenham and is being touted for an international call-up? Well, I'll refer you to the first 2 names on the list then, will I? King bears all the hallmarks of a one-season wonder. He's going to turn 26 this season, but has scored a combined 12 league goals before last season, during his entire career. Unless he's suddenly figured out the trick to scoring goals on a consistent basis and unearthed himself as a lethal finisher, King will probably fall back into old habits, especially with the arrival of Jermaine Defoe, who will relieve him of the goal scoring burden. Ross Barkley. If there's one man who doesn't know where he stands this summer, it's Ross Barkley. As it stands, it looks like Ronald Koeman is preparing for life after him with the signatures of Davy Klaassen and Wayne Rooney. Barkley picked up 144 points last season, but it wasn't a stellar season for him. The England international's career has been littered with inconsistency, so maybe a change of scenery could be good for him. Robert Snodgrass. No did you watch him play last season? It was a season of 2 halves for Robert Snodgrass, setting the world alight at Hull City before stinking up the joint at West Ham following a mid-season switch. He might have ended last season with 133 points, but don't be fooled. The man was absolutely woeful in a clarets and blue shirt. Glen Murray. Glen Murray is a big reason Brighton are where they are. He scored 53 league goals in 118 games for them during a 4-year spell in League One, before he eventually found his own way to the Premier League. It became apparent very quickly that he was not cut out for the top flight. He scored 11 goals in 50 games for both Crystal Palace and Bournemouth. He finished last season as Brighton's top scorer with 14 goals, but for their own sake, you would hope they would bring in some recruits up top. If that man couldn't cut it in the top flight at 29, how is he going to do it at 34? Charlie Austin. 2 years is a long time in football, but in the summer of 2015, Charlie Austin was arguably the most coveted man in the Championship. His 18 goals were not enough to save QPR from relegation, and he'd have to wait 6 months to make a return to the top flight with Southampton. Over the last 18 months, he's made 19 appearances for the Saints, scoring 7 goals, and missing most of last season through injury. When fit, he's a prolific goal scorer, but like Kompany, you would be taking one big, potentially frustrating risk. Thanks for watching, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and make sure you check out Footy Feed for all the latest transfer rumours and news.